Hey everyone, Ashley Mailloux here with the Daily Racing Form. Race number 10 this Saturday at Oaklawn Park is the Valley of the Vapors. It's a mile event for 3-year-old fillies. We'll take a look at this field. 11 fillies have entered this spot, and it's really interesting. You have horses such as Neon Beach, as well as Marisol Sugar, exiting the same race where they finished first and third, respectively. We have Winnable, the runner-up in the Bourbonnais Oaks. We have Candy Isle, who participated in the Fantasy. A couple of horses exit 6 furlong stakes races. They're going to stretch out to a mile. We also have Sakura Blossom, who won the Arizona Oaks. So a lot to digest, a lot to unpack. And before we dive into the field, we'll take a look at the time form pace projections. And this is pretty much how I see it. The 4 Extreme Smoke Show exits a couple of 6 furlong events where she's been quite forward. The 5 Marisol Sugar, she's been going 2 turns for all 3 of her races, but she's been forward in all of them. 2 of them, she's made the lead fairly easy. And then on the outside, you have Winnable, who likes to be pretty close to it and draws the inside, who probably will have to be sent from the gate to get into a good position. So a lot going on here. We'll dive in with the 1 Neon Beach, and we'll take a look at her most recent effort. You can't miss Marisol Sugar. She's on the lead. She's the gray, but you can see Neon Beach is behind them. She's going to angle out behind, from off behind, I should say, Marisol Sugar, and try to make a move, and she makes a move, and she's able to kind of prevail here. She wins quite nicely. It was nice to see her, A, get back in the winner's circle, and B, make up ground. I felt like in some of those stakes races, she needed to propel herself forward, and she just was kind of stagnant. She was hanging around for a piece and needed to do more. So it was nice to see that from her. I think with her tactical early foot in the draw, she's got a good position. She's quick enough to kind of get into a position that she needs to be entering that first turn, and then can hopefully kind of make the trip from there with Joelle Rosario. The 2 Midshipman's Dance up next was 5th last time out in the Honeybee, and maybe a knocker and you say it was an okay 5th, but all in all, you have to remember it was her first time going around 2 turns. I think it was a tall task, and her numbers really didn't take a step down. She went from a 79 to 77. To me, that's not significant. She could certainly improve second time around 2 turns, and Ramon Vasquez was a boarder in the Honeybee and sticks with her here. Now the 3 Blue Squall is one of several in here that comes out of some sprint races, and she's just been second best in her last 2. Just missed by a nose in the Dixie Belle last time out. The winner, Asturney, was just much the best. And, you know, you kind of look at where she fits in here. The question will be the distance. I think from a pedigree perspective, she should be fine. Randy Morse has had a really good meet down at Oaklawn Park, winning at 17%. Christian Torres is riding this one back and has been aboard her before. Maybe if there are some things to like about her, it's just going to be a tough call with other fillies in here having that 2-turn dirt experience. And similarly to her, the 4 Extreme Smoke Show exits those same races and has been forward in those events, though. That's kind of maybe the difference here. I think she has a little bit more speed than her other rival, and I do think from a pace perspective, she can muddle things up. She has a nice work coming in here, a very sharp work. I just don't know if I see her sticking around for a significant share. Now, out to her outsides, the 5 Marisol Sugar. We took a look at that race where Marisol Sugar had the lead, surrendered late. You have to think going from a 1.16 miles to a mile, that should help her chances. But with that said, we've talked about some horses coming out of 6 furlong events, and I do think she could get into a situation where she's just pressured more heavily than she was last time out, and that would certainly work against her running style. But her figures fit here. I think from a pace perspective, she makes a lot of sense, and if for some reason she were to get lonely out here, she could definitely get a share. But we'll see what happens. I just don't see that happening. I think she's going to have some pressure. Now, we'll take a look at another replay, this time for the next horse in the field, Under the Palms for Kenny McPeek. This is a really nice performance, and I talked about it in my other stakes preview this week. March 30th, Oaklawn Park. Mark it down as Kenny McPeek, Brian Hernandez Day, Jr. Day. I mean, it was just their day. And I got that all messed up when I just tried to say that, because I keep on going back to that day, and I just think about how many races they won and the trips that Brian was able to work out. And he was sort of making some aggressive moves early in the races, and not as early as he did with Under the Palms. And as we watch this replay, if you watch the whole thing, he put her into this race early, which is something that hadn't happened for her before, and I think it was the game changer. She needed to be more aggressive from the gate. He was able to get that, and she draws clear in here by a length. She does everything right. Thought it was a good performance. I like that in each of her races she has progressed. She's made a step forward in terms of figures and where she's finished. So to me, she has a lot of upside, but she's going to get tested here for class, where a couple of other horses have a little bit more experience than her. Up next is I'm a Mess, another one for Kenny McPeak. Julien Leparoux has the call and actually piloted this daughter of American Pharoah to her maiden score. We saw that 2 starts back. Thought it was a really nice trip. She was able to carve out from the back of the pack to win by just over a length and a quarter. She came back off the freshening and she ran okay. She was behind Neon Beach and Marisol Sugar, but I think for a return to the races, it was a respectable effort. She'll need to take another step forward here, but I think in terms of using her underneath, I could certainly make a case for her in this spot. The 8 Candy Isle, we'll take a look at a performance for her, not her last out race, but let's go 2 starts back. We'll go to Sunland Park, the Sunland Park Oaks. And I just love this stretch battle between her and Recharge. This is an old-fashioned throwdown where neither filly really wants to give an inch in terms of their performances. They're neck and neck, and just Recharge was able to repel her, was really able to dig deep in those final 2 jumps to the wire to win here. I thought, though, all in all, you can't take anything away from Candy Isle. Would have loved for her to perform better in the Fantasy next time out, but you can see they sort of changed the tactics on her a little bit. She was pretty forward in that event, and she tired in those final stages, and I think kind of that chase and fade angle is what's happened, but bodes well for her. She's got a win at the mile distance, and I think we're going to see different tactics this time around from Ricardo Santana Jr. Got another replay coming up. That's for the next horse in the field, the number 9, Sakura Blossom. We'll go to Turf Paradise for this replay, and the Arizona Oaks. I wish we could show the whole replay because at one point Sakura Blossom looks like she's just going to toss it in. She's done. She's actually losing ground. She's backpedaling, and somehow in deep stretch and just throughout the stretch run, she really pours it on. She digs, she fights, and she gets up to win by a nose. And I thought it was such a nice performance from her. She had to hold off Pink Whitney to her outside, and I loved everything I saw about it. Now her figures come up a little shy in here, a 60 and a 61 in her last 2 wins, but just curious about her. I think she's got some upside, and the one thing that she certainly has is that determination and that grind. So even when she looks like she's going to kind of lose ground and is going to backpedal right out of it, somehow she's been around when it all has been kind of important at the wire. So find that interesting. She is, though, cross-entered in another spot, race out at Santa Anita. We just have a couple left here. The 10 Tex Woman for Arts. This is a horse that was 4th last time out, also exiting a 6 furlong event. She's been interesting to watch. They've kind of put her everywhere. They've put her on the turf. They've sprinted her. They've stretched her out. I thought in the race 2 back at Remington, the mile performance over the mud and the trapeze, it was respectable. She was simply second best. She can improve. She's just making her 2nd start, but several have finished in front of her several times now. So I don't know what to necessarily make out of her here. She has to kind of face her stablemate. There's a lot going on. And finally, wrap it up here with the 11 Winnable. Another one from Kenny McPeak. He's got an army in this field. This horse was able to win on debut, then came back in the Bourbonnette Oaks and was second, was actually turning for home, had the lead at one point and surrendered late, was beaten by a length and a quarter behind Everland. I thought it was a nice performance. She's by Justify. The dirt shouldn't be an issue on the mare's side. There's not much to go by. This is her first full to make it to the races, but let's just also look at her workouts. She does have some, at least in terms of times, nice workouts on the dirt, both at Keeneland and more recently at Churchill. She draws the outside and has a little bit of early foot. So a lot to unpack here, maybe different directions to go. Gonna keep it simple, I guess. I do go to the 1 Neon Beach. I think she has tactical early foot. She draws well. She was able to get another win on her resume. And I like the way that she was able to take a step forward. I thought kind of getting that confidence boosting win should help her chances. And I think in terms of everything that she has to offer, she's the horse to beat. Now, I do like Candy Isle, who I know didn't race well last time out in the Fantasy, but I really think we're gonna see a different sort of tactical game from her with Ricardo Santana Jr. I think they figured it out. They're gonna kind of regroup here and put a different kind of game plan together, and I think that can make her more effective, especially at the mile distance. The 11 Winnable obviously makes sense, but the big question will be the dirt. And finally, looking for a horse maybe underneath to use, I was torn between Marisol Sugar and Sakura Blossom, and if Sakura Blossom actually races in the spot, that's who I will use underneath. I think she's going to be a good price in here, and I know her figures are light, but if you're looking for value in the exotics, I think she's going to offer it, and I love what she's been able to do in her last 2. But if she's not in, I'll go to Marisol Sugar. But all in all, Neon Beach, top pick. It's the Valley of the Vapors this Saturday, race 10 at Oaklawn. Good luck.